All right, so we're at the Roseville Galleria. We have a roof leak issue at one of the stores right behind us. We're gonna go upstairs, take a look at the skylight that they're having an issue with. Go take a look inside first to see if we can see where the water staining is coming from. Do a little bit of interior diagnostic first, and then we'll jump on the roof, take a closer look, take a look at the skylights, the perimeter, the areas around it, and we'll go from there. Yeah, so there's so much leak that's happening, just kind of dispersed all over and not very close to the skylights, but around the perimeter for sure. In multiple areas, it looks like they had a lot of water here, which they punched a hole through to allow the water to drain out. I think before going up there and looking at the skylight, I think the skylight may be an issue, but it's not the issue. But we'd have to go up there and take a little closer look, and even after that, there may have to be further inspections and leak detections done to really get down to the bottom of it. So we're gonna go take a look up on the roof. Follow me upstairs. Okay, cover your right, look right. We're gonna find our way to where that skylight area is. You see it from here. Okay, so I know we saw some leaks on the perimeters. So right away I can see that there's been some patch jobs right along the seams here. See, right along the seams. And so the water is flowing and coming this way. And there's a valley here and it's being pushed off to the drain. So it's being pushed off to the drain there. But because water is flowing, it's very, very likely that there could be water coming in under the seams here. As you can see, they tried to patch it up quite a bit. I don't know how long ago this was done, but we know mastic is a temporary fix, nothing long term. There's been some ponding here. It's still there. We've had it rain quite a bit a few days ago, and I always get concerned when I see ponding anywhere there seems like this. Let's get a closer look around the skylight itself. I can see there's been quite a bit of patchwork around the skyline. It's starting to crack. So, stuff like this here, big cracks. If you look closer down there, you can see some water space. They're here. A lot of moisture. A lot of moisture sitting around the skylights. But then as I'm looking at the skylight, I can see some stuff that's concerning me right away with just the skylight itself. I mean, the seals have cracked. The silicone has cracked. You have some loose metal. Some flashings are loose here. So I mean, if water's pouring down, right, and it's getting underneath, I can already start seeing some discoloring in the metal here. In the inside, so there's some water stains. If you can see, I don't know, it's kind of blurry, but of course water can pour over and get underneath on this too. So yes, it's likely that there could be some issues. Obviously you're seeing the condensation, there could be some issues there, but I don't think that's the only problem. I think they're just having a lot of issues throughout because of all the different leaks we saw inside the building. So when I look at something like this, of course it's hard for me to warranty exactly what's going to stop the leak. Is it coming from the seam? Is it the skylight? Particularly, I don't think so. I think that's a part of the problem, but I think there's just, the roof needs some love. It needs some work. And so it looks like this is the original roof. By looking at it, I can tell it's just one layer. And so what I would recommend, actually, as a professional, reapply a second layer of a single ply membrane, a TPO, or a PVC across the entire deck here. Seal everything to because it's multiple areas we're having these leaks from. It's not just one area. And even looking back there, I can see there's been some silicone attempted repairs there. And that may have stopped the problem, but then I think the roof is just past its life. This looks like it's the original. I know this mall most likely is not, older than 20 years. If my memory serves me well, that's about when it was built, and this is about a 20-year membrane. So, and some hold up better than others. I like the TPO, the PVC better than I like the porch down personally, but I mean, case by case, it could be argued, but we would do most likely a recommendation of an overlay of TPO or PVC here. I would not be comfortable with just doing small repairs here. I feel like it's just gonna kind of keep us coming back and back and back and just trying to seal off areas at a time. And as you can see, that's been attempted already by just looking at all of the, the repairs that have been made throughout the time. And so that is my analysis of the situation. So there we have it. So as we're looking at this roof, we're basically looking to assess what are the different options of the roofing products we can apply. So this one is actually a very unique scenario. I have very rarely seen something like this. So the entire roof is covered in like a Henry's like mastic, which typically that's made for small repairs, just quick little patches like what you would see around these pipings, flashing. But what we're seeing here is that the entire roof is coated in this product. So what that's doing here is now causing a few issues. Number one, it's starting to crack. So if you look down, you'll see it cracking. And the reason that's happening is because mastic doesn't expand and contract as it needs to. It's a temporary fix. And so over the long period of time, it's gonna crack, it's gonna wither. And so right now we have to assess this to see what the best overlay option would be if that's possible. Now the difference between a tear off and an overlay is we can keep this product on here and apply a new roofing product over it. Now the trick with that is we have to make sure that there's only one layer of roof here. So what we'd want to do in this situation is take a core sample and see how many layers of actual roof we have, because a mastic or like a coating is not considered a roof. So if there's only one layer of roof underneath it, we can do a more cost-effective option of doing the overlay. And since this is a church, budget and costs, we have to be mindful of that to give them the most cost-effective method, but also making sure we can warranty it for the long run. So walk around with me. I'm going to show you a few other spots. As you can see, we have pretty much various cracks throughout the entire roof. There is significant leaking happening inside. So right off the top of my head, I'm thinking about 3 products. The most cost-effective one would be a silicone overlay. Now a silicone is 100%, there's no fillers, and so what it does is it has a better ability to expand and contract, hold water. It's an application you roll it on or you spray it on, so there's not as much labor and materials involved. So it typically ends up being almost half the cost of an overlay of TPO or like a PVC, which would be my next 2 options. A TPO is most standard in most building manufactured, standard list. They'll have a TPO option. It's about a 60 mil. There's thicker and thinner options, but that's the most common one, and it's mechanically adhered. And so is the PVC, but the PVC, in my opinion, is a far superior product if you're looking at it as a long-term investment, because it does better when it comes to just overall weathering, when it comes to even the labor aspect of being able to install this product. So we're going to be looking at those 3 options, but definitely what I want to do first is take a core sample to make sure there's only one layer of roof here before we give those options to the customer. Hey guys, so this is Stan with Cobex, and he specializes on commercial roofs as well. And so him and I just took a quick sample. We did a core sample to make sure we only have one layer. Sure enough, we do, which is good news. And we'll go over that in a little bit later. But what we're gonna do is put this back over here, patch it up. But yeah, you definitely want to take a core sample to make sure you have one layer before you start quoting for overlay and getting their hopes up and realize there's multiple layers after you start getting into the tear off phase. So 100%, that's a good bet right there. What we want to do, we have an aluminum coating over it. We want to strip so we can go directly on the board here. And so we'll strip the walls so we can go glue the single membrane product, IB or TPO, directly on the wood. And then we're definitely going to put a separator sheet over the rest of it to get that second layer on there if we go that route. So we have obviously some clear ponding here. It's not uncommon for flat roofs to see ponding. It's actually very common. In fact, this roof has quite a bit of a slope to it. As you can see, it rises up pretty high there and comes down. But here, since it's the low point and there's a little bit of a lip, we have even more. So we can try to add a little bit of a rise to that, and by adding a thin layer of maybe a second layer of TPO or membrane to lift it up a little bit more to help it slope the rest of it off, since this seems to be the only areas where it's ponding. So Stan, how did we end up here? How did you hear about this project?
We came to a roof repair on one of the leads that we had, and apparently this was one of the guys on the board. And she's like, well, listen, I got much bigger issues at my workplace, which is the church. now we're here.
All right, so Stan and I concluded our assessment. We did a core sample to make sure that there is only one layer of roofing on there, which we confirmed that there is. Now that we have our facts and we know this roof needs some love, it needs definitely another layer of roof on here to prevent them from future leaks. We can't do just small repairs here because it's definitely beyond that point with all the cracks and all the different areas they're having leaks. So now that we have those options, we have 3 different options. Number 1 would be a silicone coating overlay. As we mentioned, this would be the most cost effective because of labor and material. Number 2 would be the TPO option. And number 3 would be the PVC option. Let me show you what those 3 look like. So the silicone option we typically use Endurus here. This is a 36 mil when applied with the right amount of coating. You can go thinner, but to get the full 20-year warranty, we go 36 mil. As you can see, it's very durable, very flexible. It does well. It goes up vertical walls and it goes pretty much behind any kind of TPO, EDM, metal, asphalt. Since this is an aluminum roof, it would work well over this aluminum roof coating. It's an option. It's a flexible membrane, and it doesn't have any issues with ponding, and we've used it plenty, and it's a good cost-effective option. But if we want to have a little bit more peace of mind, we actually want to bump it up to a 60 mil membrane. This is a single ply. This here would be the TPO. So we use the Everguard with GAF. It's one of the common products we have. So this is actually a little bit more rigid here, as you can see, and it would be the same type of mechanical install as the IB PVC. Both of them will get mechanically adhered. The reason why I like working with the IB, the PVC, is because it's a lot more flexible. It makes it easier for the install, but also it just does better over time. So just to give you an idea, this will lose almost 3 mil because there's more fillers a year over the course of time. Well, this will lose less than 1. So there's more fillers in the TPO. So over the course of 20 years, you're going to lose some of that, the fillers that are in here, whereas this will just hold better over time. Both of them are warranted for 20 years, but if you want a little bit more peace of mind and you're okay to pay a little bit more premium, then I recommend doing the PVC option. And in this case, we go with the IB. So these are the different samples.